almost 2,000 years ago. The new technology will now help to decipher hundreds of scrolls from Herculaneum and around the world.
12,000 years ago, long before pyramids or writing, someone hauled 20-ton pillars to a Turkish hilltop and carved them with foxes, scorpions, and a symbol found from Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica. A motif so precise across continents that chance seems impossible. Archaeologists have puzzled over Göbekli Tepe for decades, but now artificial intelligence is reading symbols and tracking alignments our eyes miss, uncovering codes older than history itself. If AI can decode secrets buried since the Ice Age, what are we about to learn? Not just about Göbekli Tepe, but Karahan Tepe and the world's first unknown civilization. The answer challenges everything we think we know about our own beginnings. Radiocarbon dating pins Göbekli Tepe's first stones in the ground around 9,600 BCE. That's before pottery, before farming, before the wheel. Yet on this barren hilltop, someone carved and hauled pillars weighing up to 20 tons, each one taller than a grown man, some over 16 feet high. The nearest limestone quarry sits hundreds of meters away. No pack animals, no carts, just human hands and stone tools. The logistics alone sound impossible. Each pillar would take dozens of people to move, requiring ropes, levers, and a level of teamwork that rivals the construction of much later empires. The numbers don't add up. Hunter-gatherers, by textbook definition, are supposed to be scattered bands, focused on survival, not mega projects. Yet here, at least 20 circular enclosures rise from the bedrock, each ringed with T-shaped monoliths arranged in perfect symmetry. Some of these circles reach 30 feet across. The central pillars stand paired, like sentinels dominating the space. Their surfaces aren't rough or haphazard. They're smoothed, balanced, and decorated with low-relief carvings that wrap around the stone in a single, continuous sweep. A feat that demands planning, not improvisation. Archaeologists have measured the weight and distance. Moving just one of these pillars would require a coordinated crew dragging stone sledges over uneven ground, likely with log rollers or greased tracks. There's no evidence of metal tools. The carvers used flint blades and stone hammers, chipping away at limestone for weeks to free each pillar from the quarry, then shaping it to exact proportions. Every detail, from the placement of the sockets in the floor to the carved notches that keep the stones upright, points to a blueprint, an architectural vision executed with near military discipline. And it's not just the size. The oldest layers, the deepest, hardest to reach, show the sharpest edges and the most intricate reliefs. Over time, the craftsmanship actually declines. Later enclosures use smaller stones, rougher cuts, less ambition. It's as if the people who built the first rings knew something their descendants forgot, or lost the ability to repeat. Civilizations are supposed to climb upward, not slide backward. Here, the opposite happens. No settlements, no trash heaps, no evidence of daily life surround the site. Whoever built Göbekli Tepe didn't live here. They came for something else. Something that made it worth the effort to drag and carve hundreds of tons of stone. The scale, the precision, the sheer will required to pull it off, it all points to a paradox. If these were simple hunter-gatherers, the story of human potential just got rewritten. Whatever drove them, it left behind questions heavier than any stone. Who were these builders, and what did they know that we don't? Foxes chase each other around the stone. A scorpion arches its tail, ready to strike. Vultures stand guard above a headless figure. Every inch of the pillars at Göbekli Tepe is alive with images carved in shallow relief. Animals, abstract marks, even the occasional human limb. The catalog is strange and specific. Wild boar, aurochs, snakes, spiders, leaping wildcats. Not a single domesticated animal appears. The artists didn't just copy what they saw, they picked their subjects with intent. Each ring of pillars seems to have its own theme. One enclosure is dominated by foxes, another by snakes, another by boars. It's a visual code, repeated and recombined, but the key is missing. Then, the oddest symbol of all, 3 shapes that look almost modern. Rectangles with a curved handle on top, stacked neatly in a row as if set out for inspection. The so-called handbags. Pillar 43, the vulture stone, displays them like badges. These aren't random doodles. Similar motifs show up thousands of years later in Sumeria, where gods are shown clutching the same shape. The pattern jumps continents, reappearing in Olmec and Mayan art halfway around the world. The dimensions, when measured, are nearly identical. Too close for coincidence, some say. But what were they? Ritual baskets? Cosmic keys? Portable calendars? No one agrees, but their presence, repeated and precise, hints at a message meant to last. The deeper the excavation, the sharper the detail. The oldest pillars are masterpieces, edges crisp, animal forms confident, every surface smoothed by hours of careful work. But as the builders moved upward and outward, something changed. Later enclosures are rougher, the carvings less ambitious, the stones smaller and more haphazard. It's a reversal of the story we expect. The first generation builds like master sculptors. Their successors settle for less. Civilization, in most places, climbs upward. Here, it slides back. It's as if the blueprints faded, or the knowledge slipped away. No written instructions survive, but the sequence of symbols, fox after fox, snake after snake, those mysterious handbags, suggests a logic, maybe even the first steps toward writing. Some researchers have mapped the order of carvings, looking for repetition, for rules. The patterns aren't random. Certain animals always appear together, as if telling a story or marking a date. Others cluster around the central pillars, facing inward like witnesses to a ritual. The stones remember what people forgot. It's the decline that nags at the imagination. Why did the finest work come first? Why did the builders stop aiming higher? The pillars stand as a riddle in stone. Knowledge encoded, then eroded, as if the meaning was meant to be hidden until someone or something could finally read it. LiDAR sweeps the hill. Not a single shovel hits the ground, but already the data is pouring in. Laser pulses bounce off every stone and shrub, mapping the landscape down to the millimeter. The raw numbers build a ghostly digital twin of Göbekli Tepe, one that can be rotated, measured, and dissected in ways no human could manage with tape and clipboard. Every rise and dip in the earth, every subtle bulge in the ground, pops into focus. What looked like a random scatter of stone becomes a pattern. something deliberate, something planned. Then comes the real magic: computer vision. High-powered algorithms scan the digital site, tracing the outlines of each pillar, each enclosure, each carved groove. The software isn't just counting rocks. It's looking for relationships, for rules. It starts testing distances, angles, alignments. And that's when things get weird. 3 of the biggest stone circles, enclosures B, C, and D, don't just sit wherever the bedrock allowed. Their centers form an almost perfect equilateral triangle, each side measuring 19.25 meters, off by less than a foot from mathematical perfection. That level of precision, it's not a fluke. It's a blueprint. Human eyes missed it for decades. Archaeologists walked the site, mapped the pillars, debated their purpose. But only when the digital data got crunched, thousands of points measured from every angle, did the triangle leap out. Algorithms run the numbers again and again, checking for error, comparing to random arrangements. The odds of this happening by chance? Slim to none. Someone designed it, mapped it, executed it with a level of planning that rivals the best of the Bronze Age, except this was 7,000 years earlier. The toolkit keeps growing. Ground-penetrating radar peels back layers the naked eye can't see, revealing buried rings and sockets where more pillars once stood. Machine learning sifts through the carvings, picking out subtle differences in style and technique, mapping how the site evolved over centuries. Where a human might see a jumble, the system finds order, clusters, sequences, repetitions that hint at an underlying code. This isn't just about making pretty 3D models. The digital eyes are catching things that change the whole story. They're showing that Göbekli Tepe wasn't built in fits and starts, but according to a master plan, geometry first, stones second. The triangle isn't the only hidden shape. The software finds circles within circles, lines that point to the horizon, sockets that match up with the stars. The more data gets fed in, the clearer it becomes. This was architecture with intent, not improvisation. Hunter-gatherers didn't just stumble into greatness. They measured, they calculated, they executed with a precision that rewrites what we thought was possible 12,000 years ago. The tools raise new questions. Who did the planning? How did they keep the measurements straight, without writing, without numbers, without metal? The algorithms don't answer that, but they do show this. The stones are only half the story. The geometry, the invisible math, that's the other half. The part only digital eyes can see. Pillar 43 stands like a stone ledger, its surface crowded with creatures and marks that once looked like random art. But run the numbers, map the sky, and something else comes into focus. The vulture, the scorpion, the headless man, each one mapped by AI against the ancient heavens. The arrangement isn't guesswork. In 10,950 BCE, a comet streaked through the sky, marking the onset of the Younger Dryas, a cold snap that changed the world. Carvings on the vulture stone line up with the constellations visible at that exact moment. The scorpion matches Scorpio. The vulture, Cygnus. The sun disk, a cosmic warning. Not a single animal out of place. The odds of this pattern happening by accident? less than 1 in 5 million, according to statistical models. The story deepens. The builders of Göbekli Tepe didn't just watch the sky, they tracked it with a precision that borders on obsession. Astronomical modeling shows that the twin pillars at the heart of Enclosure D point almost perfectly to where Deneb, the brightest star in Cygnus, set on the northwestern horizon 12,000 years ago. Later enclosures, built centuries apart, shift their gaze as Deneb's position drifts, tracking the slow wobble of Earth's axis, the precession cycle. This isn't simple stargazing. It's a calendar written in limestone, with each pillar marking a chapter in the sky's long story. The carvings don't stop at animals. Between the reliefs, clusters of abstract marks, V-shapes, H-shapes, lines in careful sequence hint at something more. The earliest steps toward writing. On one pillar, a sequence of 3 symbols, C, H, reversed C, matches a logogram for God, found thousands of years later in Anatolia. Elsewhere, a row of V's, 11 in total, may count the days needed to sync a lunar year with the sun. It's not a script, not yet, but the logic is there. Ordered, repeated, meant to be read. What's missing from the site is just as telling. No houses, no hearths, no signs of daily life. The people who raised these stones came for something bigger than shelter. They left behind a record of the sky, a warning about disaster, maybe even a message about beginnings and endings. The oldest layers hold the sharpest knowledge. Over time, the carvings grow rough, the symbols lose their edge. It's as if the code was written to be found by someone with the tools to see it. Tools like LiDAR, machine learning, and pattern recognition algorithms. 12,000 years ago, on a hill in Turkey, hunter-gatherers carved the story of a world-changing comet, tracked the drift of stars, and started building a system for storing knowledge in stone. The meaning was buried, waiting for the day when the sky could be mapped again, not with naked eyes, but with data. The stones held their secrets. Now, for the first time, the code starts to break open. The same symbol 3 times, a rectangle with a curved handle, etched into stone at Göbekli Tepe, stacked on the vulture stone like a code. Fast forward 7,000 years, and the motif turns up again in Sumer, then in the hands of gods on Assyrian reliefs. Across the ocean, and it's carved into Olmec monuments and woven into Mayan art. These ancient handbags aren't just similar, they're nearly twins. Archaeometric studies, where available, show less than 3% difference in width and height, even when the symbols are continents and millennia apart. Not a random doodle, not a fluke of the chisel. Someone or something kept the pattern tight. The gods of Sumer, Anunnaki, bringers of knowledge, are always shown clutching these bags as they descend to Earth. In Central America, sky beings do the same. The message? Maybe portable wisdom, maybe a cosmic calendar, maybe something stranger, a device, a key, a tool for measuring the heavens. The dimensions, the proportions, the grip, so exact you'd think they were working from the same blueprint. And the mythic baggage only gets heavier. In every culture, the symbol shows up with figures who teach, who build, who rule. AI-driven metrology has mapped hundreds of these symbols, comparing the angles, the curvature, the ratios. The numbers don't lie. The variance falls below what you'd expect from hand-carved art, especially across thousands of miles. Too precise for coincidence, too stubborn to dismiss. The handbag isn't just a symbol, it's a signature, stamped across the rise and fall of civilizations. And wherever it appears, it signals something out of place, something that doesn't fit the story we've been told. Karahan Tepe doesn't just echo the mysteries of its famous neighbor, it amplifies them. Across 10 hectares of barren plateau, more than 266 T-shaped pillars rise from the bedrock, each one quarried, shaped, and set with a precision that defies easy explanation. The site sprawls wider than Göbekli Tepe, yet only 5% has been unearthed. What's already emerged is enough to redraw the map of the Neolithic world. In the heart of the complex, a chamber carved straight from the limestone plunges into darkness. 11 stone pillars jut from the floor, each unmistakably phallic, arranged in a ritual circle. Archaeologists call it Structure A-B. The space isn't random. It's a deliberate pit, cut deep, with a serpentine channel winding through the floor. Water once flowed here, snaking past the pillars, pooling beneath a carved human head that stares from the western wall. The effect is both claustrophobic and sacred, a place built for transformation, not comfort. September 2023 brought a discovery that stopped the excavation cold. A statue, 2.3 meters tall, emerged from the rubble. Seated on a stone bench, the figure's ribs and shoulders stand out in sharp relief. Its hands grip a phallus. The face is detailed, lips, nose, deep-set eyes, yet the proportions stretch toward the inhuman. It's not the only one. Fragments of other carved bodies, some elongated, some crouched, litter the site. They're not stylized gods or animals. They're human, but exaggerated, as if the carvers wanted to remind everyone who or what once walked here. Karahan Tepe isn't an isolated marvel. AI-mapped surveys now reveal a grid, a network of Stonehill's sites, each with its own pillars, chambers, and buried secrets. The geometry links them, forming lines and shapes across the landscape that only become clear from above. This isn't a single temple. It's a system, a prehistoric blueprint etched into the earth. The scale of labor required, hundreds of pillars, thousands of tons of stone, would stretch the limits of any ancient society. But here, in the oldest layers, the ambition is at its peak. Whatever drove these builders, it was bigger than survival. It was a vision written in stone, meant to last long after the hands that shaped it had turned to dust. In 1994, archaeologists uncovered Göbekli Tepe, proving that organized stone construction began 7,000 years before the pyramids. Today, AI has mapped 266 carved pillars, decoded astronomical alignments to Orion and Sirius, and revealed the repeating handbag motif with less than 3% variation across continents. Yet, the original purpose of these sites and the meaning behind their symbols remain unconfirmed. No written records from Göbekli Tepe or Karahan Tepe have been found, and the identities of their builders are still unknown. As AI continues to reconstruct lost histories and connect patterns once invisible to human researchers, one fact stands clear. The deliberate burial of Göbekli Tepe and the network of stone hills in Turkey mark a turning point in human civilization. The evidence confirms a level of knowledge and organization previously thought impossible for hunter-gatherers. The search for answers continues, but the stones have shown that our understanding of the ancient world is still unfolding.